Let's bring in a guy to talk about that. He is Mike Griffith of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and DawgNation. Mike, it's been a while since I've seen you, man. Last SEC Media Days. Unfortunately, we couldn't see each other down in Atlanta this year, but it's good to have you on this morning.
Yeah, I missed that event, man. That was good times last year, and great moments at the theater watching Herschel and Steve Spurrier and Archie Manning up on that stage. I mean, it was a great celebration for the SEC, and I thought obviously Laura Rutledge did a great job. And the thing I guess I come away with and where we're at right now, and I'll just skip ahead. We all watched some football last night. I'm excited and happy that these players are having an opportunity to pursue their passions. Some places in the country, student athletes are being discriminated against, I think, with political cause. It's hard to believe that could happen in 2020, but again, there's different politics in different regions. But, the thing that kept going through my mind when there was doubt was don't bet against SEC football. You bet against a lot, but don't bet against SEC football. And here we are, guys, just a few weeks away.
Yeah, 22 days out from Arkansas football. Griff, one of the things that Tommy and I have been asking and kind of speculated on this week is, did Kirby Smart, Todd Monken, and the rest of that staff know about Jamie Newman's inclination to opt out, or was that decision a surprise to them? You're inside Georgia sports, particularly Georgia football. What can you tell us about the decision Jamie made, and if he let the coaches know prior to making that decision?
I don't know, Mike. It's a business decision. I mean, Jamie Newman is a graduate transfer. He's not like he's been here 4 years and left early. He arrived in January looking to improve his NFL draft stock. And if he'd have been the guy and if things were going well, I'm guessing he probably would have stayed. But, there were signs. I mean, Georgia took a 5-star transfer from Southern Cal in May. I mean, I don't think you do that if you feel like Jamie's the guy, right? With a full quarterback room. So maybe things weren't, going as smoothly, or, Jamie didn't feel like it was the best offense, to enhance his skills or to improve his draft stock, especially amid a COVID-19 atmosphere. I mean, this isn't easy now. Protocol's tough. It's easy for us on the outside to say, oh, well, they just got to sit in a room and not talk to anybody. Yeah, well, try that for a while when you're 18, 19, 20, and 21. Yeah. So have somebody tell you can't go home to see your relatives because you're quarantined and your relatives are telling you to stay at school because you're in a college environment. I mean, that's what's going on. Have somebody test you 3 times a week. Thankfully, I haven't had to have the COVID-19 test, but I've heard from the people that have had it that it's not very pleasurable.
It's not fun,
to the point
Griff.
that I had one parent tell me there's some of these guys that don't want this test that are thinking about not even playing because they don't want the test because 3 times a week is a lot. So, as I said, is the juice worth the squeeze if you're Jamie Newman? And, at some point he decided it wasn't.
Yeah. So you ask, is it all worth it? And I look at what's happened in recent years with transfer quarterbacks and elevating their draft stock, and you think recently about Baker Mayfield, you think about Joe Burrow last year. I mean, Joe Burrow's probably a mid-round draft choice, even if that, and becomes the number 1 pick with a final year. Has Jamie Newman given up a real opportunity to elevate himself in a sport that's seen transfer quarterbacks do really well for themselves in the draft with that final season?
Well, I mean, Burrow did well for himself the second year he was LSU, not the first. Nobody was talking about Joe Burrow like this in 2018. And that's, you're assuming that Jamie Newman was going to win the job. And I'm not sure that was the case. I mean, JT Daniels is a former 5-star quarterback who's awful good. In the 2018 class, the only 2 quarterbacks rated higher than him were Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I mean, this guy is the real deal. I mean, this guy ain't no chump. He could have picked anywhere to go out of Southern Cal. The fact that he picked Georgia, and the fact that Todd Monken liked him, that's your sign. I mean, you don't think Jamie Newman saw that? You don't think Jamie Newman said, "Well, wait a minute, what's going on here? I thought I was the guy." Well, you're going to have to win it, and the competition's going to be every week. So you talk about potentially raising his draft status. What if he lost the job? What if he lowered his draft status? Now, he would have had another year, but what are you going to do with that? Stick around another year? Or at Georgia, you're going to transfer somewhere else. So I think under the circumstance, it's a business decision. I don't fault Jamie Newman for that. But sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. The same with coaches. 1997, I covered Alabama. Offensive coordinator, Bruce Arians, fired after 1 year. Right? Sometimes it's just not a good. Danny Werfel, he win 2 Heisman trophies. I'm still trying to figure out what he did in the NFL. Take a look at the top 10 quarterbacks in SEC passing history. I think you'll see 3 or 4 of them maybe that did anything in the NFL. 6 of them didn't. Chris Leak had a good career in the CFL. Danny Werfel, Aaron Murray, David Green. Where are they? So one size does not fit all, and there's no shame in this. There's no disappointment in this. Jamie Newman's a grown man who made a grown man decision.
What do you think it signals to NFL scouts, GMs, head coaches, though, if you can't win the job at Georgia, is he the right fit for our team? Is that a reasonable thought that an NFL team might have?
Sure, they can decide that for themselves when they watch him work out. He's 6'4", he's 230, he's going to run a 4.7 40, can throw a ball 80 yards in the air. All it takes is one team to like you. And Jamie's going to test out well. He's going to interview well. He's got film from some things he did at Wake Forest. Jamie Newman averaged more yards per game last year than Justin Fields did at Ohio State. A lot of people want to pick on the end of the year when his 2 best receivers were gone, and they lost to Clemson and some of those other teams. But go back and look early in the season and compare the box score from Wake Forest in North Carolina to Clemson in North Carolina. Jamie Newman at Wake Forest had more offense against North Carolina than Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. So this is a talented guy. But, again, that doesn't necessarily mean he was the right fit for what the direction that Georgia wants to go with Todd Monken in the air raid offense.
We're talking with Mike Griffin of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, DawgNation here on the Morning Rush. Mike, there was a lot of speculation when Justin Fields reportedly was at practice a week ago, and then there was pictures of him popping up in the student portal. I mean, is there anything at all to the idea that Justin Fields could transfer back to UGA?
No. I mean, Justin's got a sister that goes to Georgia. He's got friends that he was recruited with on that team from the 2018 class. It was awkward for him to be at a closed scrimmage. That's the only thing. If it was just a regular, if the boosters were there, if it were friends as well as family, nobody would have even batted an eye. But this was like a hypersensitive, closed, no boosters allowed, only immediate family. Certain family members turned away. Got to be immediate, mom and dad, right? Not your Uncle John. That's what was so, I guess, eye-opening about it was like, wait a minute, this was like the super secret close scrimmage, right? Like, this is the one nobody's coming to. And that was, and then the question, how to get in, Kirby, did Kirby even know? And then what if Kirby didn't want him there? Wow. So it was more of an awkward situation because of the nature and the heightened security around the scrimmage.
Griff, let's talk about week 1, man. So not many people, if any, think Arkansas is going to win that football game. I wonder if there's any truth to the idea that Sam knows so much of the personnel at Georgia in Athens, not just on the offensive line, but really most of the players that he was there with last season. Is there an idea with Newman transferring out, with Monken being a new OC, that Arkansas can make this game closer than a lot of people anticipate?
Well, I don't know what people anticipate. I know that Sam Pittman's a good coach, and so is Coach Odom. I know that Arkansas is in a tough spot since Texas A&M's joined the league and Missouri's joined the league. I mean, that has really, I think, hurt Arkansas. That expansion, I think, really, really hurt Arkansas from a recruiting standpoint. Obviously, there's not a lot of in-state FBS talent compared with other SEC states. Louisiana, for example, right? So you got to get players. It doesn't matter who the coach is. You've got to have players. You had John Chavis there. He's a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. Got to have players, though. And Arkansas's got to get players. I mean, it's that simple. It doesn't matter. There's not some magic scheme you can run. I guess if you want the ultimate equalizer, you can go triple option like the service academies, but they don't have the 40-hour rule. They can work as much as they want. So it's tough. So what do you want Arkansas to go triple option? I don't think so. So what do you got to do to get players? That's the question. Can you create that environment? Can you create that excitement? I think Sam might be the guy that has a chance to do that because he's so charismatic. And there's nobody, I don't know anybody that doesn't like Sam Pittman. He's irreplaceable. I mean, Matt Luke's come in and done a very good job, but you don't replace a guy like Sam Pittman. He was special. And so that gives Arkansas a chance when you've got a coach like that. If the fans will rally and support him, kind of like South Carolina did. Remember when South Carolina was losing all? South Carolina was still selling out the stadium. I remember one year Tennessee was ranked in the top 25, and South Carolina got the better bowl bid because their fans would travel. So it's going to take everybody at Arkansas to lift that program.
Mike, one last question before we let you go, man. With Jamie opting out, I know there's been questions not just for Georgia but in college football. There's some studs on the Bulldog football team, not only the defensive side, but you look at Zamir White, star running back, George Pickens, star wide receiver. Is there anyone that you could potentially anticipate for the Bulldogs that decide it's in their best interest to opt out this season prior to playing Arkansas?
Not really. No, I mean, quarterback's kind of a unique position. If you're not first, you're last, right? Kind of, Ricky Bobby there. But, if you're not first, you're not on the field anywhere. It's not like you go, oh, well, you're going to play on special teams, or we think we can get you a few snaps, we'll sub you in. That's not how that position works. But no, I don't really see that. I mean, everybody's kind of all in, and there's a lot been invested at this stage. And that's not to say things couldn't change. Who knows? Maybe there's a DB that, gets edged off the bus and decides he wants to transfer somewhere. But we're getting kind of late in the game for that. I don't see it. I never say never, but this team's pretty bought in. I mean, a lot of people looking at this as a national championship season at Georgia, and they got a good defense. And a lot of people just kind of gloss over the good defense thing. Oh yeah, good defense. No. I mean, they have a very special defense. Like, this could be a historically good defense. And it just doesn't register like an offense that scores 70 points a game, right? We just don't pay the same attention. So, but because of that defense, I think this could be a championship year for Georgia.
Mike Griffith of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and also DawgNation. Griff, appreciate your time this morning, man. Hopefully in Nashville in 2021, we'll get to see each other again at SEC Media Days.
Look forward to it, guys. You have a great one.